Giwa Onafuwa. On this very wet Tuesday, in this edition of Health Tech, we have chosen to shed light on a health condition that is quite common but can be deadly. Now, when you hear the word tuberculosis, what comes to mind? I'll give you a moment to think about that. But I'm sure some of the things that you come up with will be myths and some will be facts. Or some will be facts and some will be fiction. I'll be echoing some of the questions on your mind in the fact or fiction segment. So make sure to stay tuned to be informed about all we have in store for you today. It's going to be a great show on Health Check today. I have his doctor in the house as well, and I'm sure he will do his best to enlighten you on this condition. So tuberculosis, or TB as you call it, is an infectious disease that usually affects the lungs, though it can affect any organ in the body. It can develop when bacteria spreads through droplets in the air. TB can be fatal, but in many cases, it is preventable and treatable. There's so much more to know about tuberculosis, and that's why you sit tight and stay tuned on today's edition of Health Check. There's so much you need to know, because the more you know, the better for you. Now, before I introduce the doctor in the house, here's an interesting information I came across. I'm always finding interesting and odd information on the internet. Now, did you know that to cool down, you actually should be drinking something hot? I read it on the internet, and there's actually something to prove it. Now, conventional wisdom may tell you that if you're hot, drinking something cold will cool down your body. However, research has shown that on a hot day, drinking a hot beverage may help your body stay cool. Now, they say the reason being that when you drink a hot drink, your body produces sweat to cool down your body temperature, that is. Now, initially, you may be adding heat by drinking the hot liquid, but the amount of sweat that your body produces to cool down more than makes up for the added heat from the liquid. The increased perspiration is key. When the sweat evaporates from your skin, it is able to cool down your body temperature. Interesting, right? The kind of things you find on the internet. Well, today joining me on the program Health Check is Dr. Osamudiame Igumbo Me. We call him Dr. Me from Access to Basic Medical Care Foundation. And he's here with me in the studio this afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Me.
Yes, good afternoon.
I say, I'm sure when you introduce yourself, your patients will giggle every time you say, I'm Dr. Me.
They are usually full with disbelief.
Absolutely. Your actual surname is Me. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Dr. Me, I'm going to go through the fact or fiction segment with you. And on that segment, I know doctors usually like to explain because they don't want patients to go away with half information. So every time I introduce the fact or fiction segment, my doctors are always like, it's going to be hard to just say fact, because there are some facts that just need a little bit of explanation, and there's a fiction that might need a bit more explanation. But you're going to try your hardest best, Dr. Me, to just state fact or fiction. And my first fact or fiction question is, TB, tuberculosis, is a contagious disease, but only people that are sick with pulmonary tuberculosis are infectious. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Oh, fact. Now, second question. Tuberculosis is hereditary. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Fiction. If somebody with TB coughs, I will contract the disease. Fact or fiction?
Fact and fiction.
We'll shed more light on that. Now, this one. You will always know if you have TB given its symptoms. Fact or fiction?
Fact and fiction.
Wow, interesting. The final fact or fiction question. There are different types of tuberculosis. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Okay. All right. So when we come back after this short commercial break, of course, I know all of that fact or fiction segment has given you lots of questions on your mind. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, I have lots more questions I'll be asking. And then, of course, maybe open phone lines for one person to ask a question if we have time. But after this short commercial break, don't go away.
This is a message for farmers and agro-processors. If you need to dry your agricultural produce like rice, cassava chips, plantain chips, melon, and others, you do not need to spread them to dry on tarred roads or on rocks. The Nigerian Stored Products Research Institute, NISPRI, has developed a solar dryer with which you can dry these agricultural commodities faster, better, and more hygienically. For more information, visit www.nspri.gov.ng or any of our offices across the country. NISPRI, improving food storage for a happier nation.
need a fully furnished, nice and comfortable hostel accommodation in University of Ibadan, or a place for seminars and executive trainings at the same venue? You do not have to worry. Adebayo Akonde Hall suits your lodging needs and provides you a home away from home. Adebayo Akonde Hall is a 4-star hostel built in a serene environment with constant supply of electricity. It has fully furnished rooms that gives you great comfort at an affordable price. Adebayo Akonde Hall is located at Ajibode Extension, University of Ibadan. To make reservations, visit www.adebayohall.com or call the numbers 0805 699 8718, 0805 699 8719, 0805 699 8720. Adebayo Akonde Hall. Built for comfort. Built for you.
Welcome back to Health Tech on Splash 105.5 FM. We are the Integrity Station and we're reaching you live from the big borough city called Ibadan. I am your host on Health Tech, Ronke Giwa Onafuwa. And today I am talking to Dr. Me from Access to Basic Medical Care Foundation. Dr. Me is his real name actually. But well, his full name is Dr. Osamwede Igumbo. I beg your pardon, I pronounced it wrong the first time. So thank you very much, Dr. Me, for being here. We're talking about tuberculosis and asked him my fact or fiction question. And I'm sure a lot of you have more questions. But I remember back in the day, if anybody coughed, we just associated it to tuberculosis. Why is tuberculosis associated, or people that cough associated with tuberculosis? Perhaps I could start there.
Yes, because people with... Most times, because there are types of tuberculosis, you have the ones that affect the lungs, the ones that affect the spine, the one that are abdominal, affects the kidneys. So, but the ones that are really that are infectious are those that are associated with the lungs.
Right.
So, because of that, that is that one. Someone with an active tuberculosis, that is infectious.
Right.
So, and one of the main symptom is cough.
Right.
So that is why it is associated with cough, any cough.
Right. Also, where do people get the idea that if someone has tuberculosis, they must have eaten food in a dirty place? Is that true?
Tuberculosis is linked with dirty environment.
Right.
So that is just the reason why.
Okay. All right. So where I ought to have started. What is, for somebody who may not know, what is tuberculosis? I know it's something that affects the lungs, but how does a person even get tuberculosis?
Tuberculosis is a contagious disease that affects, that comes as a result of droplets. That's someone speaking, singing, coughing, sneezing, anything that brings about droplets from the mouth.
Yes.
That is associated with tuberculosis.
Right.
That tuberculosis can actually be spread by such means.
Right. So somebody is coughing around you and they're not close. I mean, that's why we're great. I mean, even though COVID-19 is not something we're grateful for, but the fact that people now started wearing masks, people had to start to be more proactive with their hygiene, and stuff like that. Because like you said, if somebody is coughing around you and they don't close their mouth, you can actually get tuberculosis from that person.
Yes, but it is not that easy.
Okay.
Because it has to be a prolonged stay. Like you are still, you are being exposed like up to 8 hours every day.
Wow.
It's not just a casual meeting or casual touching someone. You can just get it.
Okay. So it's someone you maybe be living with,
yes,
working with, or have prolonged stay with. All right. So also, I mean, we're talking about tuberculosis today, and like I said, I'm going to give maybe one or two persons the chance to ask a question. But we also said negative to the fact that tuberculosis is not hereditary.
Yes, it's not hereditary.
Okay.
It is contagious.
It is
contagious. You can actually get it.
Okay.
But you cannot pass it down by gene. Right.
So if most of the time when somebody is coughing, everybody says, oh, this person might have, what are the symptoms to look out for if a person has tuberculosis?
If the person has tuberculosis, coughing with sputum this production, and the sputum most times is thick with blood.
Okay.
There will be weight loss, there will be night sweat. That's night sweat. You just find that in the middle of the night, the person is drenched with his sweat. and chest pain. And most times this chest pain is what is called pleuritic pain.
Right.
Pleuritic pain, and that pain is when you take a deep breath, there's a sharp pain.
Yes.
So it is mostly associated with tuberculosis. But to actually make diagnosis, you have to go to the hospital. They have to do some tests, chest X-ray, to know whether you are active.
It's not something I can just, I feel like I have tuberculosis. I can't say that. It has to be diagnosed by a doctor.
Yes, because the truth is that there are two phases of tuberculosis, the latent phase and the active phase.
Right.
The latent phase, you are infected,
right,
but you are not showing any symptoms.
Right.
In that state, you cannot even transmit. So you can be walking around, nothing is happening.
Wow.
And most people really have it and they don't even know. While the active phase is when there are symptoms.
Yes. Okay.
Because you can even go to you can test positive, your blood can test positive that you have tuberculosis, but they will check everything, you are clean.
Wow, and not find any symptoms, per
Yes.
se. Now, you talked about how there are two different kinds of tuberculosis. What is the difference between the two?
Symptoms.
Oh, okay. So there's a tuberculosis that's asymptomatic and tuberculosis that's symptomatic. That's all.
It's just like you are a carrier.
Yes, but you cannot infect somebody.
Yes, you cannot infect
Okay, so it's when it's symptomatic that you can infect somebody
Exactly.
with tuberculosis. Okay, so somebody has found out, perhaps out there, they have tuberculosis. What's the first step? What do they need to do?
That's go to the hospital to get it checked out first. That is when the doctor says, okay, it is active, then they can start you up on TB drugs.
Okay.
And those drugs are taken for over 6 to 9 months. And
9
it
months.
must be taken every day, or else we will have what we call multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, which do not respond to the first line drugs, meaning that they now have to use a second line drugs, which take longer time and it's more toxic to the body.
Okay, so let's explain quickly this multi-drug resistance thing, because I know there are some people who have drugs, they take it today, they don't take it tomorrow. What you're saying is that if with tuberculosis, if you skip some days or just decide you don't want to choose not to take it today, your body, you could take the drugs after and it would just not work for your body. That's what you're saying.
Yes, like every organism, there is that survivor thing in them.
Right.
That is, it's like, because bullet kills, then there's a development for a bullet vest. So that is what all those organisms also do. If you don't kill them with the first, you don't wipe them all out, the ones remaining go to form resistance.
Wow.
Forms a coat around them that the drugs can no longer penetrate.
Interesting. And so when does tuberculosis become deadly? I know that there are people who have died from having tuberculosis, but from what you said, there are lots of people get tuberculosis and they take their drugs and they are fine. When does it get deadly?
When an active tuberculosis is not treated.
Okay.
When it's not treated, that is when it gets deadly, because the symptoms get worse. Before you know, the person starts coughing out blood and all those things. The lungs start going down.
Right.
And without lungs, you cannot breathe.
Right.
That's just it.
Now, for example, if somebody's listening and maybe they've missed a few doses of their drugs and perhaps they're afraid of this, body what now happens? Could it be is that a death sentence for if their body has sort of built a resistance to that drugs? Would you say that that's the end for somebody like that?
No, it is not the end. Most times, the reason why people stop their drugs, maybe I can give just two main reasons.
Right.
One is because they are getting better.
Right.
Because after like 4 to 8 weeks, the person starts getting better and the person starts becoming not infectious.
Yes.
So most times they just say, I'm getting better, and they stop.
Okay.
No need to take the drug. They start forgetting the drug.
Okay.
So that is one. The other reason is that is because of stigma. Stigmatization. I don't want him to know that I want to go and collect my drug. So because of that, they don't collect their drugs when they are supposed to collect. They don't use it. Maybe if there's a visitor at home, they skip it and all those things. So all those things. Talking about, is it a death sentence? No, it's not a death sentence yet, because there's a second line drugs that can be used.
There are stronger Stronger drugs?
Will I say no? They are most times second line drugs are because of side effects, issues with the body and everything. So they are pushed to second line. It's when the first line has failed, they can now use the second line.
Right. Now you talked about stigma, and I also know too. I remember when I was in university and a friend of mine was afraid to tell us that she had tuberculosis. And I know obviously it's because she felt we were going to look at her. So apart from the ignorance, I mean, what can we say? How can we educate just a little from what I know now? I know that obviously it's not everyone that has tuberculosis that you can contract tuberculosis from. That alone should let you know that just because somebody is going to take drugs doesn't mean you start to run away from there. What do we say? How do we educate people who stigmatize those who have tuberculosis?
One is to just make them know that, look, tuberculosis is not as contagious as we say it is.
Right.
One. And two, for there to be increased risk of tuberculosis, something must be wrong with your immune system. Is there HIV? Is there malnutrition? Are you on cancer drugs? All those people need to stay away.
From somebody who has tuberculosis?
Yes, from any sort.
Okay. So those who have HIV, cancer, using cancer drugs.
Because all those drugs can destroy the immune system
and make it easy for you to catch what somebody else has. Okay.
So all those are what increases the likelihood of getting tuberculosis from someone else.
Right.
But if you have good immune system and no malnutrition, you are good.
Right.
So letting them know that this is not, it is not as bad as it's just like every other disease.
Yes.
You should not now push them to one side. And anybody can have tuberculosis. It's not only dirty people. It's not only people that are in low income. It can happen to anybody, though it is more with low income people and all those things, because tuberculosis globally is majorly in 8 countries. And 6 are from Asia, 2 from Africa, Nigeria, South Africa. While Asia you have China, Bangladesh, Indonesia.
Why those countries? Because I'm sure there's some African countries that are not as... perhaps because of our population?
Perhaps because of the education, because all those social determinants of health, non-medical things that affect this medical outcome can play a role. When there is lots of stigmatization, less education and everything, people will not want to go to the hospital to be diagnosed.
Sure.
So because of that, they're increasing the...
So no to stigmatization. No, do not stigmatize people who have tuberculosis. Anybody can get tuberculosis, but then if I don't ever want to get, what do I need to do in order for a preventive to not, get tuberculosis?
One is eat well.
Eat well, okay.
Eat well, because our natural immunity can hold up for us. So eating well, and in case of anybody even having the tuberculosis, articular tuberculosis, you can just use your nose mask every time you go into public.
Right.
Because with that one, even people with HIV and so, they are safer.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, let's take another short commercial break. When we come back, perhaps we can take 1 or 2 telephone calls. Number to call us on is 0706 949 3000. 0706 949 3000. If you have a question about tuberculosis, strictly about tuberculosis, Dr. Me is here to answer that question for you. If you have a question strictly about tuberculosis, you can ask when we come back from this short commercial break. It is Health Check. I'm Ronke Giwa Onafuwa. Don't go away.
Gbogbo ń tà fẹ́ nínú pàdé àdúrà lágbà yìí kú ọlọ́jọ́ mẹ́ta 72 hours with God. Bàbá Is ìsọjí orí afẹ́fẹ́. Prophet Taiwo Òjó ti CAC májẹ̀mú àánú ni Ọlọ́run máa ṣe àpàdé àdúrà ìfúnlóṣù mẹ́ta. Àkórí ìtìjú yìí bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti Friday 11, Saturday 12 àti Sunday 13. Nígbà tí mo wò ó fín. When I look at it more closely. Gbogbo ẹrù ogun tí iṣẹ́ tiẹ̀. Ó tó àkókò fún ọ láti wá jálẹ̀ nú àdúrà. Ìkórìtà ìpínyà. Pẹ̀lú ìwà tógun ní 72 hours títí ọ̀tà yìí. Ọ̀pọ̀ ìrìnsí Ọlọ́run àti àwọn olórí ẹ̀mí bíi Tọ́pẹ́ Àlàbí. Dáre Mélòdì. Ìlàjà Kétorí Ọlọ́run sọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Kẹ́ni ológun àrà. Bridget Adénúbi Esther. Ni wọ́n máa pẹ̀lú bàbá ìsọjí orí afẹ́fẹ́ Prophet Taiwo Òjó ṣiṣẹ́ rẹ̀ ṣẹ́. Mexican tó wà ní kìlómítà 18. Ifẹ̀ Ìbàdàn expressway ló ń segere láti máa pàdé. Ọkọ̀ ọ̀fẹ́ máa wà ní ìwòròdà tó Olúbàdàn estate. Aago mẹ́sàn-án òwúrọ̀ táwọn bá ti wọnú ìpàdé àdúrà lọ́jọ́ Friday. Ọjọ́ Monday la máa ṣọ́ọ́rí ọ̀fẹ́. Ẹrù ogun tí kì í ṣe tiẹ̀. Mexican ní kò wá lọ já sí nínú àdúrà.
láti ní ojúlówó mọ̀ tó nílò tó fi darapọ̀ mọ́ṣẹ́ ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ tó sì dakọ́ṣẹ́ mọṣẹ́ tí mùṣemúṣe ẹ̀dá múṣẹ́ yàtọ̀. Splash FM Media Academy ti pèsè ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó gàgàǹgbá fún gbogbo ẹni tó nífẹ̀ẹ́ láti dojúlówó agbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ tàbí ẹni tó fẹ́ fìmọ̀ kúmọ̀ nídìí iṣẹ́ ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ tẹ́sí gbàwé ẹ̀rí mú yege. Àwọn ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ Splash FM Media Academy dá lórí Introduction to Presentation, Program and Content Development, Journalism, Basic Production, Digital Media, Yorùbá Presentation, tó ń ti ìtọ́sọ́nà lórí ìṣẹ́yọni pẹ̀lú àwọn gbajúgbajà agbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́. Fún ìforúkọsílẹ̀ àti ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé ẹ lọ sí Splash FM Media Academy tó wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ White House Fẹ́lẹ́lẹ̀ Ìbàdàn tàbí kẹ́ ẹ kàn sójú òpó ìtàkùn àgbáyé wa pẹ̀lú www.splashfm1055.com/academy 0705-439-3332 tàbí 0805-699-8676. Ẹ sì lè kàn sórí Facebook àti Instagram wa @Splash FM Media Academy. Mú àlá rẹ ṣẹ láti dojúlówó agbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ lónìí. Splash FM Media Academy. À ń fọmọlúwàbí ṣe iṣẹ́ ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ lọ́jọ́.
My people, better don land. Make una come see ogbonge cable wey dem manufacture for we obodo Nigeria. Na Pure Cables. Pure Cables na correct electrical cable wey dey reliable, dependable, and the people wey dem make am call dey safety conscious. Pure Cables get original copper and aluminium cable for different sizes dem wey you fit use for electrical wiring level for anywhere. Whether na your house, abi na your office, the price nko e no dey tear pocket at all. Nationwide distribution don start. For more informate, call 0808 030 3257. 0808 030 3257. Pure Cable and Wire Limited. They have print compound, 40 gate, 122/132. Oshodi Papa Expressway, Iyano Solo Bus Stop, Lagos. Pure Cables, Nigerian electrical contractors endorser. SON approver. Pure Cables. Na Yubico.
Welcome back to Health Tech on Splash 105.5, the Integrity Stations. Today we're talking about tuberculosis. Now, a total of 1.4 million people died from tuberculosis in 2019, including 208,000 people with HIV worldwide. TB is one of the top 10 causes of death and the leading cause from a single infectious agent above HIV/AIDS. Now, in 2019, an estimated 10 million people fell ill with tuberculosis worldwide. 5.6 million men, 3.2 million women, and 1.2 million children. TB is present in all countries and age groups, but TB is curable and preventable. Today on Health Tech, I've been talking to Dr. Me, who has been breaking down tuberculosis for us today. If we have anyone who'd like to call in, you can call us very quickly to 0706 949 3000. We can take one call with somebody who has specifically a question specifically about tuberculosis. If you have a question about tuberculosis, you can ask it real quickly by calling the number 0706 949 3000. 0706 949 3000. But before I let Dr. Me go, I mean, I've heard people say once you have tuberculosis, can it be completely cured or not? I don't know if there's debate around that. What would you say to that?
Tuberculosis can be completely cured if not multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. So that is why when you are on the medications, you do it religiously, so that you don't get to that stage of the gamble. So it is 100% curable. Okay, 100% curable if you do not get to the point where it is a drug resistant
kind of tuberculosis. That's why it's important to take your drugs. If they say 3 times a day, take it 3 times a day at the time you need to be taking. If it's for 9 months, take it for the entire duration because you don't want complications. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time for any of the calls. But thank you for listening and for being a part of the program. Thank you, Dr. Me, for being here.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time, for you giving out of your valuable time to us today. Dr. Me is Dr. Osamede Igumbo, aka Dr. Me, and it's from the Access to Basic Care Foundation here in Ibadan. Once again, thank you very much, sir, for your time here. Thank you for listening. Until next Tuesday, when we'll be back at 1:30 with Health Check, with another interesting edition, another interesting topic. Thank you once again. I'm Ronke Giwa Onafuwa.
Really nice. I think it was